That guy could be a Houston Astro in the near future, if you were to believe a report from Bob Nightingale, where the Houston Astros and Arizona Diamondbacks have engaged in trade talks about D-backs outfielder slash catcher Daulton Varsho. The asking price remains steep, but Arizona's open to trading some of their young outfielders. Varsho's 26. He's under team control. He's had pretty good numbers. Played in 151 games for the D-backs last year. 31 of them were as a catcher. Weird to see a catcher slash outfielder. But is this somebody that the Astros should pull the trigger on? Here's what I think. If the price is steep, hell no. What are we doing here? Are we seriously considering, I'm talking about the Astros right now, I'm talking about, I guess, Jim Crane, Jeff Bagwell, Dusty Baker, Farkas, all the other guys who are involved in the Astros front office. Are we seriously thinking about trades? There's only one kind of trade that I want to see the Astros make. It's the one that they have done a lot over the years. It's the one that they did to get Justin Verlander. It's the one that they did to get Gerrit Cole. It's the one that they did to get Zack Greinke. I want them to make the trade where they do what your annoying buddy in your fantasy football league tries to do with you. The one-sided, hey, can I have Justin Jefferson for Marcus Mariota, Eno Benjamin trade that you see happen often in a fantasy football league if you played it. One-sided trades. The kind of trades that people propose on Twitter. I don't have to give up anything, and I'm going to get a great player. That's the only trade that the Astros should be making. If they're not making that, I'm out. I don't want it. Daulton Varsho, cool name. You got to trade for him? Walk away. It's over. The time to trade was last year. You had a surplus of pitchers. I mean, you had Jake Odorizzi. And you still had Justin Verlander. And then you had up all the other guys, Christian Javier, Urquidy, Framber Valdez, Luis Garcia, Lance McCullers, Hunter Brown. Before last year's trade deadline and before Justin Verlander walked, you had a ridiculous amount of pitching depth to the point where it would have actually made sense to perhaps trade some of that surplus to get something at another position of need. But you don't have it the same way that you used to. And you need all the pitching depth that you can get when the pitching is the strength of your team. And I think that what the Rockies are going to want is one of those pitchers. Can you afford to trade any of them? I don't think so. And what else are you going to trade? Is there someone in the minors that's really exciting for a team like the Diamondbacks? Yannier Diaz? Corey Lee? No, it's not there. And let's go a little bit further as to why the Astros should not be trading with anybody. Do you want a Bill O'Brien kind of trade to happen? And I'm not saying that that's going to happen with Jim Crane running things or with Jeff Bagwell in Crane's ear or with Dusty Baker also in Jim Crane's ear. I'm not suggesting that's going to happen. O'Brien was one of the worst traders that we've ever seen in sports history. But don't you need a general manager exactly for moments like this, like trades? I don't think that the Astros would necessarily get, I can't say that word probably, trade pwned, to go back in time to computer gamer talk, pwned, leet, etc. Like, I don't know that that's going to happen in a trade, but I don't want them making a trade. Let's stop with this. And I've seen proposals out there, possibilities out there. No, you're not going to get a guy like Varsho, I would imagine, without having to give up something real. And the only things that you have real to give up are things that you have actually seen succeed at the major league level. I don't want to give anybody up at this point in time. You got to maintain. The only additions the Astros should be making is through free agency. And that's where we get into frustration about how some of the moves that the Astros were supposedly in on, whether it was Brandon Nimmo or it was Wilson Contreras or a bunch of other names out there that you could throw to. As ABC 13 suggested, Astros fans might be disappointed to know that Carlos Correa is not coming back. Well, you could have brought Carlos Correa back to play center field. You know, $350 million over 13 years to play center. Maybe that's why Correa was at that UFC match with his buddies, Alex Bregman and Lance McCullers. But like that move would make more sense to me than trading for anybody right now. Because I just don't think you're going to get a kind of deal that you would expect to if you were to make that kind of decision. 713-780-3776 to call in, to text into on the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. At Gallant says on Twitter, twitch.tv/ESPN 97.5. Do not trade for anyone unless you are pulling the old Amsterdam special. Hey, look at me. I'm just a settler. See my boat that I just came on? I got nothing. I don't have anything at all. This land that you have looks really nice, Mr. Native American fella. I got some beads. Would you like these beads? You just got to give me all of this land. A principle that you might not have any cultural understanding of. So how about it? Beads for what will eventually become New York City. Huh? That's the kind of trade the Astros should be making. The kind of trades that would make our colonizing ancestors proud. But anything that involves giving something else up? Hell no. You ain't doing that. You should not doing that. You shouldn't even entertain it. And I'm assuming that this story even came out from Bob Nightingale because why? Probably because the Diamondbacks are trying to drive the price up. And look, maybe you can wait this out, and maybe you can essentially steal Daulton Varsho or one of these other Diamondback outfielders away. But that's the only kind of trade you should be making. Art of the deal. Read my book. The only deal you make is a deal where you win entirely. Like, that is what I want. I do not want back and forth. I do not want compromise. And if you are someone that thinks that they need to make an addition by trade, just realize that's what they're going to have to do. And they don't have the kind of prospects to do that, at least to my knowledge. I read Baseball Prospectus. I study these guys so much. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't do that. I'm just saying you have to give up something real to get a guy like Daulton Varsho. And I don't think it's worth it. I feel like your pitching is your strength, and you need that depth because you don't know what's going to happen next year.
Do you not trust noted great businessman Jim Crane?
Well,
have you thought about that? Thought about how good of a businessman he is compared to, I don't know who owns the Arizona Diamondbacks, but I assume they're not as good of a businessman or woman as Jim Crane.
Now, I'm going to base my thoughts on the Diamondbacks owner on whether or not they still have that pool in center field.
I'm not sure if they...
Because they have a pool in center field. Oh, yeah, they did this well before the Jacksonville Jaguars did it. If the Diamondbacks still have that pool in center field, I will think highly of their ownership.
It looks like they still have it.
They still have it.
I mean, there's no stories of them putting it away.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, looks like they got it.
So I think you know what's up here. Yeah, Jim Crane is getting into a negotiation with somebody that understands business. Baseball, it's boring. We need to have a pool here. And it's not like a trashy Jacksonville pool. No offense to my Northern Florida brethren and the Floribama Shore, but I mean, you know what kind of people are going to go in there. They're going to go in with their shoes on probably while wearing a full set of jeans, not even jorts.
How many people do you think the Chase Field pool accommodates?
20.
35.
Okay, see?
Jamming them tight.
It's classy, though. See, this is a classy people pool. This is the kind of pool that's only going to allow Scottsdale broads in. Oh, did I say broad?
There it is.
Well, listen, I'm just saying. Some organizations get what looks good. The Diamondbacks. You got people in Scottsdale. You got a pool. Let the people in Scottsdale go to the pool. Yeah, the Diamondbacks might stink, but you got a sideshow going on. So the Diamondbacks, smart organization. They have a pool in a stadium that is close in proximity to Scottsdale. Do you think that Jim Crane is going to be able to get the better of a man who has a pool at his stadium? I can't say.
He's a broke boy, though. He's only worth $1 billion USD. Ken Kendrick.
But he has a pool in his stadium.
Also, his name's Ken Kendrick. Kenny Kendrick.
What's his middle name? Kenneth? Kenneth Kendrick?
Oh, no. His full name is Earl Gentry Kendrick Jr.
Oh, see? So he's hiding his real name. That guy sounds like a tycoon from the 1920s. With a monocle in one eye and a bunch of mustache gel to curl that bad boy up as he puts his top hat on and throws his loose change at urchins walking up to him on the street. This is not someone that I think Jim Crane should get into a back and forth with.
I will say, in every picture I've seen of him, he does not have a mustache. However, he does look like he could have a Monopoly Man style mustache.
See, he's just keeping it discreet. He comes from Monopoly money. Do you want to make a deal with somebody like that? I haven't seen There Will Be Blood, but I'm assuming Daniel Day-Lewis's character kills somebody in that to get the oil that he eventually gets and damages the relationship that he has with his son. That guy looked like a tycoon. Someone who sounds like a tycoon. Do you want to get in a deal with them? Anyway, look, to get back to the serious point I have, the Astros should not be making trades, period. They shouldn't. And that's kind of what's frustrating about where they're at right now. It does seem like, for the most part, another big-time injection of talent a la Jose Abreu. It's probably only going to come by way of a trade. What teams are going to want, especially knowing that Jim Crane is at the center point of negotiations, and there's Jeff Bagwell and Dusty Baker. What team isn't going to play hardball with the Astros the way that they currently are? That's the most important question here. Whoever they get into negotiations with, they see blood in the water, and they're going to think to themselves, no, we can bleep with them a little bit. Entirely because of the way that they look.